Hi everyone, Soul Super 17 here. Let me get through this like usual. I do not own the picture. This is a non-paid video. Alright, okay. Yeah, I'm back. I took a while to try to figure out where I was gonna go with this. Just forgot to do something real quick. Actually, I just realized. Give me a minute. There we go. I just had to shut off my Wi-Fi. So, yeah. I'm probably just gonna make this an hour long due to the fact that I have to do some things today. Well, it's also because it's nighttime and I have work. So I have to get ready for work. Yeah. So I went back to watch the parts and I did remember what was gonna happen for the whole entire Fallen Angel part with Azia, but since in the video, the past two videos, I made it where Azia was not taken by fallen angels, Renair, and everything, because Renair is on Azazel's side again and dating the puppeteer. So, and I basically remember about the Chimera. So I'm gonna kind of do a little bit of a, how should I say this? I'm gonna basically do exactly the same scenes, basically at the church and everything, just not the same characters are gonna be there. Would Free be there? Yes, he will. Because there's reasons why. I don't see him not being there if he's working with the fallen angels. So he's working with Azazel. So Free would be there with the Chimera. So yeah. So let's get to this. This is What If Issei Became Eyeless Shack Part 3. Alright. So we're starting off the next day after Issei found out that his bite now is poisonous. And he's just kind of mumbling to himself in his head about, why do I have poison bite now? Why do I have a Chimera bite? Why? Things are just never easy for me. In which D-Dragon, or Drake, would basically say, partner, it's not that bad. He's like, yes, it is. I have all these other abilities, and I keep finding new ones. Sooner or later, I'm gonna find an ability that basically ruins my, social life. In which Drake just says, you don't have much of one. And Issei just scoffs at that. He goes, of course I have a social life. And, D-Drake just says, you don't have one. The only thing that you have is, actually, I was asleep for most of it, so I don't even know what you're like. And for some reason, Issei would take that as a I win moment. So, he's traveling to school with Azia as she's basically, thinking about it too. So, while they're walking and such, he would then sigh, goes, man, I really hate having all these abilities at once sometimes, Azia would nod. She goes, it's hard to even tell what you can do, really, she would say. And he just rolls his eyes. He goes, I know. Ugh. Besides, got that Chimera now, and it's gonna be a pain. We don't know where it is, if it's working with anyone, or anything. It's just knowing that it's there. Which Azia would nod and just sighs. He goes, that Coca-Bill guy doesn't want to give up on you, huh? Which Issei scoffs. She just nods to that because it does seem like it. So, when they get to school, everything's going the same. It's just Issei's basically more, I would say, not focusing on school, but thinking, and he does have a rough day, basically. And I don't see much that happens, but I do basically see where Rias would come over to him during lunch, which I do think he'll be on the rooftop with Konako just eating, and she would ask him if everything's okay, including Rias when she arrives, and he just says, "Yeah, just gotta worry about that chimera. Don't know what to do with it. I know we need to track it down and everything, but still, seems like a pain." Which Rias would nod in understanding, and Konako would ask in her monotone voice, saying, "What are you gonna do?" Which Issei looks up at the sky and thinks. He goes, "Maybe I should hunt it? Track it down and kill it? Well, if it's made to kill me, then probably already covered its tracks." Which Rias does say that you can look into any weird sightings. Which, well, yeah, which Issei would nod says that's one step we can do. But you also have to be careful. If basically has a poison bite like me now, then, well, we don't know what can happen. Or what else it can do. So, they try to make a little bit of a plan. And I do think after school and everything, Issei would, teleport to a location where he could train in peace. Yeah, train in peace away from everyone. So he goes over his abilities and such and see what else the Chimera DNA can do. He knows he can't access it while he's in his human form. So he basically waits until nighttime and basically, he summons the mask and puts it on, and that's when he turns, when night hits, and that's when he tests out his abilities. He also did work on Drake and try to get the boosted gear, not the first stage that it was. Give me a minute. Sorry about that, everyone. Just have to take care of the fire. Yeah, take care of the fire. So, anyways. So I want to say is, besides the poison bite, Issei can use shadows to then have a snake appear out of nowhere and attack. He does get claws, but then, they basically are just normally, but I want to say now he can have poison claws. His bite is already poisonous, so yeah. And I want to say his skin is a little bit more durable, but that's it. So after a little bit of that, he then felt something off. He basically then dodge roll out of the way as a fire breath was attacked. Was shot at him, basically. As when he looks, he see it's the Chimera. As it chuckles at Issei, goes like, well, eyeless Jack. It seems you're more, aware of your surroundings than I thought. As Issei growls at it, as he goes, "You followed me, didn't you?" Which the Chimera just smirks, as it's in the twisted, way, because of it looks twisted. And just says, "I'm made to hunt you, bring you back dead or alive. So of course, I'll be able to track you so easily." As Issei gets up and he has the boosted gear on, But basically, the creature thinks it's only like twice critical. He goes, "The pathetic sacred gear. It's only like twice critical." As Issei just thinks to himself, does he not know it's the boosted gear? Okay, this is some bullshit moment. But alright. I'll play along, he thinks. It was like, so what if it is? I can still beat you. And he goes, oh, you wouldn't be able to. As Issei does only two boosts, two boost. As he then smirks. As the Chimera then tries to lunge at him because he thinks Issei won't be strong to handle it. But due to the two boosts, boost that he gained, I don't know why I'm having trouble saying that word, Issei is able to dodge the attack and even kick the Chimera in its side, send it flying into a couple of trees, but Issei doesn't let up. He then removes the mask and shoot out green fire breath. Well, let's. I want to say it's more redder now, actually, instead of green, because of Drake. Because fire breath from a dragon is usually just orange and red, and yellow. But in this case, it's basically more just pure red. And Issei can increase the temperature, but he's not gonna try to add magic or whatever to it. He's just using fire breath and such. As the attack does go flying towards the Chimera, it tries to dodges, but it gets its tail hit as it burns away as it growls at Issei. And Issei smirks that he puts back on the mask. As the Chimera goes like, that was a lucky shot. And as soon as Issei cracks his finger, and the Kagane, one of the Kaganes come out, as it basically growls even more, and it basically says, I'll get you one of these days. Issei just runs off out of fear because of, he knows the Chimera knows it's not strong enough to handle Issei at this point. So it's going to have to resort to one of its, its basically programming is consume humans and to gain strength. And that will happen over time. As Issei tries to follow the Chimera, run after it and try to follow its trail, he then loses it because of, the Chimera basically did use a spell that it was given to lose make its pursuers lose track of it. So, Issei curses underneath his breath and goes back home. When he gets there, his mom says, "Oh, Issei, you're back?" Which he goes, "Yeah, training was good and everything, but met the Chimera," which Sir Zex is there. He goes, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, the Chimera that Coco Bill is, wants me. Basically sent after me to get me or kill me." Which Sir Zex does ask what happened. So he tells him what happened, and Griffia heard it. Rias and Azia did came down and hear Issei talk about the encounter near the end. And he goes, and that's what happened. I lost track of it. It did underestimate my sacred gear, though, so I need to try to unlock it fully. So Sir Zex does not slowly. It agrees with Issei that he needs to unlock his sacred gear fully, but he also understands that Issei's strength could outmatch this Chimera. So he does basically look at Issei and he asks him, "So what do you think's gonna happen?" And Issei's gonna be honest, so he just says, "It may try to consume people to gain more strength." I mean, knowing how twisted Coco Bell is to want to make me and the other creepypastas group. Yeah, I think he doesn't care for human lives, so. Which Rias basically scowls and Sir Zex just rub his temples. He was. That man is. Yeah, pure crazy, Issei would finish. Which Griffith would ask, should we try to have more people around here to keep a lookout for it? And Sir Zesh nods no because he has a feeling it won't work. So, he looks at Issei and legit tells him this. Look, I know you may hate this, but I want you to try to train here instead of in secret in basically a training area that I can have set up in the basement. It's dangerous for you to go out there alone, so I did forget if I basically did give Issei, place on makeover, but if I didn't then, I'm just adding it now. If I did then, ignore this, but yeah, so Issei just sighs, he goes like, fine, I'll go in the training area, and what? I want you to try to unlock your boosted gear, Sir Zek will say, and then try to train in it. So Issei nods in understanding. But he would say he needs to eat and do his homework, so that's what he does. Everyone starts to talk about how could they, how could they find this chimera and kill it? Unknown to anyone, there is a certain exorcist priest who is in Kuo. They basically are walking along and trying to find any devils or anyone who's basically working with them. As when he's walking past the alleyway, he hears a snarl and he goes, oh, hello, my friend. So, how was your little hunt? He walks into the alleyway and sees the chimera state, of disheveled fur, burned tail, the tail's burned off, and he just has this crazy grin on the man. He goes, well, it seems you didn't have no fun. And the chimera snarls and goes like, shut it. Eyeless Jack was more formidable than I thought. In which the man's like, I get it. You underestimated him. It seems, well, you got overconfident. As the chimera says, shut it, Freed. We got more problems. He has a sacred gear, but it's only twice critical. Which Freed does not. He was like, oh, that's a problem. But we can handle it. So, what do you need me for? He goes, I need you to help me gain strength. He goes, oh, you mean kill the people who work with devils and you feed off of their corpses? Which the chimera nods. He was like, alright then. Just stay by my side, little pet. As the chimera tries to swipe at Freed, and Freed, jumps back and laughs. And he walks back out of the alleyway as the chimera thinks to himself that he hates this human. So, after that, I do see basically time does pass. Issei is working on unlocking the boosted gear fully, and everyone else is keeping an eye out for the chimera and the plan, plan. Basically, and making plans, So, after, I would say, 3 days, I'm gonna give it time. 3 days basically to happen. Rias would ask Issei to go to this house because of Kaneko was overbooked. As Issei says, sure. So, Issei will use a magical circle and teleport to, not to the place, but near an alleyway to the place, and then walk the rest of the way. As when he gets there, he looks up at the place. He goes, huh, so this is it. And when he touches the door, his senses for magic is on overdrive because he can feel someone put up a barrier. As he immediately then sends a communication to Rias, telling about someone put up a magical barrier in the area, and he doesn't know who did it. Which Rias just tells Issei that we can get there easily, which Issei says no. It's already been put up, and it's nearly fully done. I have to go in there now and find out who did this. She goes, Issei, do you understand you'll be alone? Which he nods to himself, which Rias can't see, and goes, but still, I have a bad feeling about the client. I think they may be. As Rias, doesn't say nothing, and Issei went quiet, and she only tells him just to be careful. So he nods and says, I will. And he goes into, he basically goes through the gate, gets to the door, enters, and he already smells blood. And since it was already near nighttime, he basically puts on the mask as while he's walking, he then turns into eyeless Jack. So, when he gets into the living room with the candlelight, he sees the messed up corpse that was cut into pieces, and he doesn't react. He just looks impassively at it. And which reads like, oh? So, the little monster isn't afraid of a little dead body? He says from the couch, Issei looks over to him. He goes, and you are the one who did this, I presumed. Which Reed says, oh, yes, I did. Yes, I did. You see, he was working for you, devil, so I decided to free his soul. Free his soul, basically. I don't know why I said it like that, but Issei just tilts his head to the side and goes like, he still had his soul. And devils don't take them no more. They just take a object that's worth a value. Which he says, who cares? He's still worth for you, devil scum. As Reed takes out a hilt and his gun, and Issei just blinks. He goes like, oh, you're an exorcist. Great. And with one hand, Issei makes a light spear. And he holds it to, points at Freed. As Freed goes like, so it is true. You do have multiple DNAs inside of you. Which you can see Issei's body tense, getting ready for combat, and because of Freed knows that secret. He's like, oh, I know about you. The one who tore through one of those places my boss has. Which Issei goes, you mean Kokobell? He goes, oh yes. Now, I want to see what you can do. So dance, devil boy. As Free tries to shoot Issei, blocks the bullets and cuts through them with the light spear, even through it. As Free used the light sword to parry it, as then he basically keeps on shooting Issei. Issei dodges it, turns into smoke, and he gets right in front of Freed, slashes him with his claws. As Freed dodges, but his shirt and coat is cut. And before he can say anything, he has to dodge Foxfire. As Freed goes like, man, you are one ultimate weapon, huh? You're unpredictable. No wonder why that chimera couldn't defeat you. Which Issei goes like, what do you mean by? And before anything can happen, Issei felt a jaw on his leg. Someone bit him. He looks down, he sees the chimera, and before the freak can say anything, Issei grabs the chimera, punches its head. His jaw, it roars out in pain, and the jaw comes off his leg, and then he throws the chimera at Freed. Freed goes like, have a lot, and just gets hit. As when Issei looks down, he sees his leg is bleeding, and it's black blood. And he uses, he basically focuses magic to heal his leg and uses a healing spell. As the chimera glares at Issei, but Fruit just chuckles like, you never saw that one coming, huh? Yeah, we're gonna kill you here today, devil boy. As, Freak gets up and the chimera is looking way more powerful than Issei remembers, as Issei then realizes you've been helping him feed off of. He goes, oh, yeah, I have. Freak says it so casually. So, ready to die? As when Freak shoots the bullets and the chimera jumps forward, Issei is already getting, well, I would say Issei is about to use a shadow snake on the chimera, and then use his arm and skin to block. Well, his arm to block the bullets. But then also a magical circle appears and Kiba jumps out, hits the bullets. Konako jumps out, punches the chimera in the face. So, after that little thing happened, Rias comes out with Azia and Akano and goes like, you dare to attack one of my members? As Free goes like, oh, you have to be kidding me. The whole crew's here? Whereas the chimera just growls and just says, figures the Grim Race will be here. And before anything can happen, the chimera would roar out, and all of a sudden, I know basically how this would have looked for the fallen angels. They would appear through like a blue magical circle that is from above. But in this case, that blue magical circle does appear, but it then starts shooting out lightning as everyone's dodging. And when the lightning does stop, Freed and the chimera are gone, including the barrier is gone. In which Rias just sighs and Issei curses as they look at the dead body, and Issei just says, we gotta clean up this scene and make sure no one remembers this. Great. More paperwork. Which Rias does not and says, I can never get that done. And she sighs. So, after the whole entire cleanup, everyone's asking Issei if he's okay and what happened. And he just explains everything, including about the bite mark on his leg. In which you can see it's healed, but yeah, no, they had to make sure Issei's blood was cleaned up. Also, give me a minute. Alright, sorry about that. So yeah. So, after that, I do think Issei would be in his room and, well, try to talk to Drake, as Drake does tell him how he's impressed by his skills, and though he still tells him he's not ready for the boosted gear yet, as Issei asks why. So, he basically, Drake would say he needs a motion to help him access the boosted gear, and that would be it. So a few days would pass, and a day will pass and such, and Azia asks Issei if they can, go and hang out. So they do so, and they're having fun. Everyone, both of them are enjoying their time, and I would say exactly the same scene where Issei and Ozzy are talking, at that fountain, and Ozzy says she's grateful to have met Issei and live with him. Live with him after all these years, and Issei would not. And that's when I would say the Chimera came up, and he's on the water and chuckles at Issei, saying, "I think it's time that we end this little game, eyeless Jack." And, "Oh, you got Jane with you. Interesting." Issei gets up and glares at the, Chimera. And before anything can happen, the Chimera moves faster as it basically hits Issei away and then grabs Azure's clothes as Azure tries to stab the Chimera, but the knives are basically pointless because it breaks, as it basically tells Issei to meet by the church on top of where the hill is. Basically the exact same church as in canon, and takes Azure away. So, what happens next is Issei would tell Rias and everyone what's happening, and they would all meet up at the place. But because it's not, nighttime yet, Issei's still, Issei, not Eyeless Jack. So, he doesn't care though. He's going there to save his sister. And I'm gonna say this. Issei is gonna basically unlock two things. Basically, one is gonna be an actual creature that can heal, and another is a basic gear, but yeah, so. Anyways, when Issei and everyone gets there, Konako says, "What are you gonna do?" Which everyone's looking at Issei and he goes like, "It doesn't matter if it's not nighttime. You gotta go save Azia." And they all nod. So Issei does kick the door open with Konako and it goes flying off the hinges. As the Chimera's there with Freed. As Freed has the gun pointed at Azia, he goes like, "Oh, Eyeless Jack didn't come alone. Figures as much." Which Issei just glares at Freed. He goes, "Oh, but what you gonna do now since it's not nighttime?" Huh? Which Issei says, "I'm still gonna fight and kick both of your..." Which the Chimera says, "Enough talk." It lunges at Issei. Issei dodges and then punches the Chimera. Konako even kicks the Chimera, but it does no damage. And so this does happen for a while as everyone's trying to go back and forth. Issei uses his magic that he has inherit and learned, as basically the Chimera is doing a pretty good job, dodging, as Freed thinks no one's going to go after him, but Kiba and Rias and Akano are going after him. And he was like, hold up. It's big hunches, we're not supposed to. Because Kiba's speed and able to block his attacks, Akano's lightning, and Rias' power of destruction, Freed goes like, "Oh, I'm out of here." Takes out the little ball that basically is a big giant flashbang and gets out of there. The Chimera curses Freed as with that, basically blocking his mind and letting his attention go. Issei is able to shoot off a fireball right in its face, hurting it, as then it basically backhand Issei, sending him flying into a wall, as he does cough off basically saliva. As Kaneko basically runs and tries to punch the Chimera, it jumps back, and he basically wants to torment Issei, so he decides saying, "Let's see how you like when your little sister's hurt," as it bites into Azia. And that's when Issei sees that, because he knows the Chimera, basically, poison is strong, and even with Ozzy's healing capabilities on herself, it may not work. So Issei's getting pissed, he's getting angry, and yeah, the devil aura basically flares up around him as it's basically crimson red as a boosted gear. Well, as basically the sealed boosted gear and quite critical mode is there, as he says, "You're gonna pay for that." Basically, to it, as well, the Chimera just chuckles at Issei's threat because it does not think Issei is gonna do anything. So, when Issei basically dashes to it, he's still in human form, so he should not be this fast. But now he is. As he grabs the Chimera's face, and then all of a sudden he sees the boosted gear that was in twice critical mode, was just like a little thing around his wrist. Around his top part of his hand, his backhand or whatever, call it. As now it's in a full gauntlet mode, as his eyes widen because it's the boosted gear, as an Issei just slams it to the floor. And then basically, obviously, 3 boosts happen, and then Issei punches the Chimera, another boost happens, punches it, and then he just kicks it. And right when the whole entire basically nighttime comes and Issei doesn't have the mask, he fully transforms. That's when he basically breathes fire at it, and basically imagine Natsu Roar of Dragon, but with black flames. Yeah, that's how it just happens. He basically shoots out all that fire towards the Chimera because of the 3 times boost, and Issei's own affinity for fire with Drake. Yeah, the flame increased to black flames, which it just disintegrates basically the Chimera. I do have to wrap this up real quick. That's why I'm kind of making this a little bit short instead of an hour. But I do think it's good enough because, 1, I do have to go to work, people. I do have to get ready. I have to go in early. And 2, I gotta buy more wood and basically get ready for work and do my book for my receipts to see how much money I have left. So much to do, so little time. But anyways, so yeah. So, as soon as that happens, everyone see Azua's trying to heal herself, and Riz and Akano are also, Akano was trying to help. Issei runs over, and Drake says, "Partner, the poison's spreading fast. There has to be a way to help her, right?" Which Issei goes, "I don't," as he stops mid-sentence because he has a feeling. He has a feeling about something inside of him is awakening. So when he basically puts out his right hand, he knows he has healing magic, but all of a sudden, I want to say, the moisture in the air turns into water as it wraps around Azia as blue light comes off of the water. Well, blue and green. And in moments, the Chimera poison from her arm is out of her system. Which Issei is just blinking, huh? How did I do that? Everyone just sighs because it's one of Issei's new abilities unlocked. Great. We're supposed to say to herself as Drake just laughs. So, after that, they left, but unknown to them, pre-recorded everything. He was like, "Oh, Kokobill's gonna not like this. Oh well. At least I got the data. That doctor can basically analyze it then. Great. Just what else we need?" more freaks. But nah, it's more fun that way, as he laughs and leaves. So, after that, they basically get back to Issei's home as Sir Zex asks about everything, and when Issei tells him about the water that, basically pulled from the air and healed Azia from the chimera poison, which immediately Issei's mom's worried about Asya acting like, a mother would, worry about her child, as Asya smiles at this. So they said they're going to do some tests on Issei tomorrow over this. So, bye everyone, I do have to get going. It is 8:10 p.m., so I do have to get ready for work because someone's not there and I need to get in there early to get some overtime. So yeah, bye everyone, have a nice day, night, or wherever you are in the world. So bye.